This is Jeanette with Backroads Books by 21 Crows. I'm going to tell you about the Witch's Grave in Portage County, Ohio. The lonely ruins of the Elliott family cemetery at West Branch State Park are barely visible and buried deep within the forest in a long and almost gone road. In the 1920s, when the graveyard was discovered by the Elliott Lake Club while clearing the land for a recreation area, it was called Portage's Lost Cemetery. It was secreted ankle deep in leaves and brush. Tree saplings had sprouted inside the layered, hand-honed sandstone enclosure surrounding the gravestones. The abandoned cemetery was attached to the old farmstead of a long-departed Mulford and Betsy Elliott, back when it wasn't uncommon for folks to bury their dead not far from their backyards and family plots. Remnants of that home are hardly a stone's throw away across a creek running between the two. As years passed, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers swooped up this little place of land, along with others for flood control. The state of Ohio built West Branch State Park with a reservoir in 1965. It was then that the property opened up for public use. While the park was developing, it was not just hikers discovering the lonely graveyard and the skeleton of the old home. There were others, with less respectful intentions, who found the solitary graveyard. They also found the peculiar grave of a 17-year-old, and above it, a headstone with a poetic inscription doling out a haunting message of death and dying. Remember youth as you pass by, as you are now, so once was I. There was something not right about the words on that grave. Surely they offered up a foreboding message. Just across the creek, too, there was a mysterious pile of stones. Now everyone knew early settlers were intolerant of witches. Their ideal way of getting rid of them was to burn them to death and toss their ashes in the mud. Well, after sewing the mouth shut so they didn't utter curses at those who were killing them. Like suicides, the God-fearing buried witches outside consecrated grounds with a slab of rock placed on top to keep them from climbing out of the grave as revenants, walking corpses that might harm those still living. Sometimes the wicked were even buried upside down, so if they tried to dig their way out, they would go the wrong direction. The curious heard these stories, and they sought the boneyard out searching for the witch grave. The old road became a secluded lover's lane for a boy to bring a girl and scare the bejeebus out of her. In early years, rangers at the park tried to keep an eye on the cemetery, but in May of 1969, vandals desecrated the old graveyard. Headstones were broken and pushed callously to the dirt. Beer cans lay strewn across the old hallowed grounds. After that, though, there were claims that those who vandalized the cemetery came to all sorts of bad luck. Anyone who took something from the land met with some sort of bad fortune. As the story goes, a witch's grave lies hidden in the forest. Legends tell that a young woman lay accused of being that witch. Those in town scooped her up and forced her into the woods. They laid her down, placed boards on top, then buried her beneath massive slabs of stones on top to kill her. And so she could not rise again. Now you can see the ghostly form of the witch roaming the dark forest. And if you peer into the depths of one slab of stone, dead red eyes stare back at you. I hope you enjoyed this video from Backroads Books by 21 Crows. You can find this story, Witch's Grave at Lost Cemetery, and the GPS to find it in the book Ohio Ghost Stories and Spooky Legends, The Classics, by me, Jeanette Quackenbush. Thank you for riding along.